This poor monkey lost all of his family and even his planet, but he didn't lose heart and decided to stand against evil and take his revenge alone. This is Bana, once the most glorious planet in the entire universe. It was ruled by a beloved king and queen. Under their rule, Bana was a paradise, but darkness took hold. It all started when the king's evil brother, Zhong, got jealous and desired to rule the planet himself. He unleashed the space Kraken, an ancient beast with power to create black holes. Bana was shattered into pieces and the king and his loyal companions were sucked into the black hole. Since then, the remains of Bana have been ruled by Zhong, who has enslaved all the survivors. However, 3 little survivors were saved by a nanny robot named Banani. She took the kids into an underground bunker where Zhong could not find them. After the destruction, the bunker ends up in one of the broken parts of Bana, which is used as the garbage dump by Zhong. The youngest one of the lucky survivors is a 13-year-old monkey named Spark. He is still under training while the elders Chunk and Vix go on adventures to get necessary supplies from Zhong's kingdom. Whenever they return, Spark rushes to their spaceship and asks for all the details of the adventure. Vix asks why he isn't asleep yet, but Spark reminds them of his birthday. They shouldn't have left him alone on his birthday. Moreover, Spark believes that he is not a kid anymore, and he should also join the missions, but Vix refuses immediately. Spark gets really angry, but Chunk advises him to calm down and think wisely. If he really wants to join missions, then he must prove it to Vix that he is ready for more responsibility. The next morning, they gather in a wide ground so Spark can show his talent in a fight with Vix. Spark gives his best and attacks multiple times, but Vix dodges all of them easily and knocks down Spark. Afterward, she also scolds him because Spark is not keeping his focus. He lacks body control and can't attack at the right time. Spark gets frustrated and accuses Vix of cheating. Vix sighs and advises Spark to accept the truth. No one is cheating. It's Spark who is not ready yet and must wait a few more years. Spark doesn't seem to understand at all and runs away in anger. Chunk believes that it's just the typical teenager behavior, so they should give some more time to Spark. Meanwhile in Bana, Zhong is building one after another of his magnificent statues. He wants to own everything that his brother once had. He asks the artist to write his title on the statue, "The Destroyer of the Planets." The artist does as said, but he uses lowercase letters that offends Zhong. He calls his biggest and strongest warrior and asks him to throw down the artist. It's the third artist who suffered from Zhong's wrath this week. He is really an insensitive and selfish kind. The queen is also tired of him, but Zhong keeps trying to impress her every now and then. He invites her to see his latest, biggest discovery, a gem called the Kraken Finder. He has been looking for it for the past 13 years. Zhong wants to find the Kraken and destroy another planet just like he did last time with Bana. His never-ending greed has made him a monster who wants to rule the whole universe. Back in the garbage dump, Spark is still practicing to become a better warrior so he can take his revenge against Zhong. During his training, Spark finds a bug named Floyd, whom he befriended a few days ago. In a lonely place like the garbage dump, even a bug can be a great companion. As the night gets darker, Spark returns to the bunker and cleans the spaceship. He sees Chunk and Vix flying away, and he wishes to join them too. Banani notices his grief and says that the adventures are overrated. There are better things Spark can do without risking his life. Poor Spark is left with no choice other than playing checkers with the bugs. He suddenly notices a red light shining out of the control room. As no one is around, so Spark goes to check the control room. The light is actually a notification of an emergency message. It's written for Vix, and she is invited to meet someone by following the given instructions. Spark takes the copy of the instructions and keeps them secretly. When Chunk and Vix return, he doesn't tell them anything about the message and waits for them to fall asleep. Spark wants to steal the ship and go on the special mission by himself. Once Chunk falls asleep and Vix goes to work, Spark gets inside the spaceship with Floyd and initiates the flight. After a while, he lands in Bana and gets astonished to see his birth planet after such a long time. In the instructions, the sewer is called a secret passage, but it is surrounded by several deadly guards. Luckily, Spark brought Chunk's hologram device, and he uses it to distract the guards. He jumps in the sewer that leads him to the corridors of the palace. The next hint is a green banana, but Spark can't find it anywhere. Suddenly, the royal guards arrive and run to catch Spark. They even close all the passages, and Spark is trapped badly. He looks around and suddenly notices a green banana on a picture frame. On pressing the banana, Spark gets taken to the luxurious room of the Queen. She asks about Chunk and Vix, but Spark lies that they were busy, so he came instead. Before he can ask why the Queen is communicating with them, a bunch of guards knock at her door. They want to check the room because they are looking for Spark. The Queen gives the Kraken finder to Spark and asks him to deliver it to Vix so it can be hidden in a safe place. Spark has lots of questions, but there's no time for that. The Queen says that the fate of the universe is in his hands and he must protect the gem. When the guards enter the room, the Queen disguises Spark as a handmaiden and asks the guards to escort him to the gate. Once getting back in his spaceship, Spark shows the Kraken finder to Floyd. He suddenly gets a dangerous idea. Spark wants to use the finder to locate the Kraken and use it to defeat Zhong. But firstly, he needs to figure out how to use the Kraken finder. Spark keeps trying every possible way, but there's no impact on the gem. Even heating or giving electric shock doesn't cause a scratch on the Kraken finder. Meanwhile, Vex has received another message from the Queen, which reveals that Spark has the precious Kraken finder. Zhong also finds out that the gem is missing, so he sends a whole army to recover the Kraken finder. Spark is going back to the garbage dump, but on his way, he notices some weird noises and asks his computer to locate the sound. The disruption is coming from inside the ship. It's the Kraken finder and it's glowing. There's a small ball inside the gem that keeps pointing in the same direction. Spark finally understands how to use the finder and flies his spaceship towards the dark clouds. They seem really dangerous, but Spark can't turn back after coming so far. He is unable to see anything in the thick clouds, so he asks the computer to turn on the sonar detector. After a while, he starts receiving signals of someone's presence nearby. Spark takes a deep breath and keeps moving forward. Suddenly, a giant monster appears before him, and it is about to swallow the whole spaceship. Spark asks the computer to turn back the ship, but in panic he continuously presses the horn. The Kraken seems to like the sound of horns and dances around the spaceship. Spark notices that the Kraken is actually quite friendly and doesn't want to cause any harm. It just wants to play. Spark understands the situation and decides to lure the Kraken back home. He gets ready to return home and drive the spaceship slowly so the Kraken can follow him. After reaching near the garbage dump, Spark asks the Kraken to wait for him so he can call his friends and give them the biggest surprise of their lives. However, he gets the surprise himself when he sees that the garbage dump is attacked by Zhong. There's no sign of Chunk and Vex. All he finds is Banani, who is badly injured, but before she shuts down, Banani tells Spark that Zhong has kidnapped Chunk and Vex. His guards were hunting for the Kraken finder like crazy and attacked every place in sight. Spark really regrets his decision and turns back to the Kraken, but unfortunately, Zhong's guards have trapped the poor Kraken as well. Spark also gets caught and taken to the palace. He unites with Chunk and Vex and apologizes for all the mess he created. Before they can reply, Zhong arrives and mocks them for living on the garbage he throws away. He has also figured out that Chunk and Vex have been stealing resources from his kingdom. Therefore, he wants to give them a hard punishment. However, he is happy at what Spark did. Thanks to him, Zhong doesn't have to bother finding the Kraken because Spark brought it to his doorstep already. Zhong doesn't actually know much about Krakens. Instead of interacting with it, he uses a torturing device to force the Kraken to release its powers. For him, it's nothing more than a world-destroying weapon. Zhong is going to destroy another planet soon, but before that he wants to test-run the weapon on Spark's home, the garbage dump. As the torturing device hits the Kraken, a slick is released which opens a giant black hole. It swallows the whole garbage dump and Zhong throws Spark and his friends inside the black hole as well. After a while, they all open their eyes on a random deserted planet. The slick actually was a wormhole that doesn't kill anyone but sends them far away. Vex finally gets a chance to talk to Spark and scolds him for being so reckless. He has gotten the adventure he wanted but destroyed everything in this attempt. Spark apologizes again, but it's no use. Will he also apologize to the next planet Zhong is going to destroy? Or he is going to apologize to the whole universe which is in danger because of him? Vex walks away saying this, and Chunk follows her too. He didn't expect Spark to do something so immature like this without informing anyone. After walking a little far, Chunk asks Vex to tell Spark the secret they kept for so long. They failed in completing the task they were given, but at least they could share everything with Spark. Keeping him in the dark didn't help at all. Vex agrees and goes back to talk to Spark, but he is already gone. After wandering around on the deserted planet, Spark finally meets a few inhabitants. They also reached here through the wormhole and learned about Zhong. Their leader takes Spark with him and tells him the whole story. 13 years ago, when Zhong attacked Bana and opened a black hole, these people were sucked in here. Since then, they have been trying to stay alive. The food is not sufficient here, and the lightning keeps striking randomly, but the tribe has learned to survive anyway. Their leader once used to be the captain of the royal guards in Bana, but now he is nobody. Zhong destroyed thousands of lives and wants to continue destroying even more. Captain gets emotional after recalling the incident, and he sits down with Spark. Suddenly, he notices the birthmark on his hand and gasps in shock. As Spark seems totally clueless, Captain shows him that the birthmark is actually a royal symbol. Spark is from royal bloodline and the only son of the king of Bana, the queen. Spark met at Zhong's palace was actually his mother, who was forcibly kept by evil Zhong. She was the one who sent away Spark with Banani so he can grow up safely. Unfortunately, the king has died already. He was sucked into the black hole with the rest of his people. Times were really hard then, and the planet was severely flooded. The king worked hard to get all of his people on the rafts, but he sacrificed himself. Captain takes Spark to the king's statue and gives him some privacy to digest all the information he just got. Spark never thought this all would happen. All he wanted was to find his parents and start a new life as a happy family, even if they have to live in the garbage dump. But he destroyed the last bit of freedom he has. What has he done? As Spark asks this, a mysterious voice says that he saved everyone. The voice comes from the statue. It's the king's spirit who asks Spark to save his friends who are trapped in a cave by giant hungry bugs. Spark believes that he will fail again, but his dad says that there's no growth without failure. He's the only prince and the spark of hope for his people to believe in. He has a purpose in the universe, and fate brought him here for a reason. The king also gives him the royal weapon, and Spark finally feels himself worthy again. He grabs the weapon and rushes to save Chunk and Vex. The bugs take away the weapon, but it is connected with the royal birthmark and flies back to its owner. The queen bug runs away in fear, while the rest of the bugs bow to the prince. Spark uses Floyd as an interpreter and asks the bugs to help them in escaping this planet. He also brings down Chunk and Vex and apologizes to them again. They get back to the tribe, where Chunk and Vex reveal that they are actually royal guards who were tasked to protect and train Spark to become the next king. The queen always stayed in contact with them and kept looking for a way to get back to her planet. Spark understands everything and believes that it's his time to take charge of everything. Firstly, they have to create an artificial slick and open a wormhole to get back to Bana. Chunk can construct a device for that, but he needs a bunch of scrap material. The garbage dump is also sucked in here, so Captain immediately orders his team to help Chunk find all what he needs. Once they get out of the wormhole, Spark will rescue the queen and signal his team to destroy Zhong's warship along with him. For the next whole day, everyone works passionately. Once the device and the ship are ready, Spark brings the giant bugs so they can help in defeating Zhong's army. Chunk also fixed Banani and added some cool updates. Spark addresses his people like a real king and leads them in this mission. Once Chunk opens the wormhole, everyone walks out of it and attacks Zhong's battleship. Zhong can't believe his eyes and orders his army to attack back at the Bana people. Meanwhile, Spark sneaks into the warship and meets the queen. He is a little upset about not knowing the truth before, but the queen explains that it was for his own safety. Spark understands and hugs her mother. Unfortunately, Zhong's army catches them and presents them before Zhong. He sends his toughest warrior to the Bana ship and destroys its power source. The ship is going to shut down, and Spark seems to be losing this battle. Zhong makes fun of them and says that Spark is a failure just like his dead father. Spark gets really angry to hear that, but he doesn't lose his temper and acts wisely. While Zhong is distracted, Spark calls his royal weapon and uses it to cut down the power source of the warship. The guards try to catch him, but Banani arrives in time to show off her new updates. She defeats all the guards single-handedly and rescues Spark and the queen. Zhong gets scared of dying and begs Spark to spare his life. Instead of getting blasted with the warship, Zhong prefers to spend his life in prison. Spark takes pity on him and carries him outside. The Bana ship is running out of fuel, but Captain saves it by using the electricity stored in his body. He got it because of taking numerous lightning strikes all these years. After getting back on track, he initiates the final attack and destroys the warship completely. Now the last thing they need to do is to close the wormhole. Chunk tries his best, but the device keeps turning off again and again. He slams his head in panic, but it helps in turning on the device. The wormhole starts to close, but before it can, the Queen kicks Zhong inside the wormhole too. Now he will experience the misery he once gave to others. Once the battle ends, Spark takes his people back to their real home, Bana. Everyone gathers at the palace and witnesses Spark being honored as the king. He misses his dad, but the Queen reminds Spark that his dad is always there with him in the form of the royal weapon he holds. For the rest of eternity, he will shine as a spark of hope for the whole universe.